This I want to call this March 15th, 2023 meeting to order. Amy, you want to lead us in pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I don't guess Eddie has anything for us today. Is that correct?
Here's not.
Okay. I make a motion to approve second half payroll 324. All in favor?
Aye.
And I got some questions on the vouchers and invoices. I'd like to hold off until Mr. Crookshank's here, if that's okay with the commission.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Minutes.
You should have those or you pass them. So I'll make a motion to approve March 8th minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I guess there, is there any estate?
Got one there.
Them estate over there.
John. Maybe we approve the estate settlements.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Ruth.
Yeah, so the first thing for here for this one. When the guy came in, let's talk about the stormwater drain in Fallsview.
Yes,
Down.
yeah, I was the one asked, requested the letter, I believe.
This is not the original. Oh, there it is. So it's basically, there's a problem with the stormwater in Charlton Heights. The culvert needs cleaned out and you guys are gonna send a letter to the Department of Highways.
Do we copy? Yeah, good, thank you. Copy Mr. Bounds. I mentioned this is the family that lost their home to the train derailment in Medina.
A motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. So the next item is the 2024 Community Corrections Grant application. You just need to approve Tom signing it, which he actually signed.
So does it look, if we do it retrospectively? What do we say when we have him? Because he had to sign it yesterday, it was due.
No, for time,
Yeah, no, pro tem. I move we approve
whatever
it.
that means.
Mhm.
Second.
What it means,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the support letter for the grant committee. After we talked with Teresa yesterday, I don't think it's necessary because it's not requesting additional funding. And I don't know, Tom, if you want to elaborate on that.
After talking to Teresa, I called Mayor Ingram. And we discussed the location down there. In fact, at 1 o'clock, she's going to go visit the location. And we're going to start this, what she recommended as part-time to start with. And she's going to see what he's going to offer and to bring it down there and to work with the DRC. So that's, we'll go from there on that after they meet today.
We'll just propose location and.
Yeah.
So the next is the lien. Anthony.
I didn't get the letter out to the county to that. Yes. He put it on the agenda for April 5th. Bonds, to my letter.
Okay, I move we postponed April 5th.
Second.
All in favor?
All right, building commission appointments. Did you guys have anybody else?
Dan Hill said that he would accept them.
So are you moving to appoint Dan Hill? John, are you moving to appoint Dan Hill?
Yes, I am.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And then, were you able to talk to Bill Wells?
I mean, I mean, I talked to him briefly and asked him if he would, and he said he'd be interested in it, but I didn't tell him we was gonna do it actually today. I wanted to talk to the commission first.
Well, I mean, I support Bill Wells. I originally had raised Steve Eads, but Steve is on the URA, and since both of those are landholding entities, I didn't want to have too much landholding control in any individual. I mean, I trust Steve. We would just have had to replace him on the URA, but I'm fine with Bill Wells. I think it would be a great.
Do you want me to call him after this, since we're gonna,
Yeah, let's just,
and
Yeah.
we'll do it later this evening then.
sure,
Yeah, Bill's aces, so.
we can take a quick break and then.
Okay, okay. All right.
All right, and then Anthony suggested we have citation writing ability for litter control officer on the agenda.
Under the code, our litter control officer, what we've been doing is, on the litter control officer, we have a situation that warranted a citation. They would reach out to the sheriff's department, and some of the sheriff's department would respond and would actually issue the citation. Under the applicable West Virginia Code provision, our litter control officer can issue citations on their own if they have completed the certification course. For litter control officer, done that. He actually came to me and asked if he can do this, and quite frankly, it doesn't make sense for our litter control officer to take a law enforcement officer out of circulation, simply issue a citation for a topic that he's responsible for. And I'm not criticizing our litter control officer, it's just that's how we've always done it. That each people should get the class completed, so he legally can do this. I just wanted to make sure the county commission was willing to sign off on it.
This is kind of like we did with animal control too, kind of similar, right? Just
Yes.
different statutory application.
Yeah, and to me, it makes sense because he's already gonna be there. He's the one dealing with the resident. And it doesn't necessitate a law enforcement officer coming to his location to issue the citation.
I think it makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. And I mean, of course, now he'll have to appear in court if they request a hearing.
I think he'll do fine.
Oh, I'm-
He did well on the news. I
Yeah,
think
I'm not worried about it. And like I said, he took the initiative and actually came to me and brought me the code citation and brought me the certificate of completion where he had completed the course. And asked me if that was possible. And I looked at it and I was like, yeah, sure, we'll just need to get it down.
So is this what he wanted to talk to us about at the last meeting when I was on Zoom?
Yeah.
Probably.
So, okay, so, and we put him off. All right, well,
It wasn't on the agenda.
right.
So does he need a book or something?
He's gonna need, he'll need a citation book like the deputy said.
Okay,
Yeah, when I was assistant prosecutor in Washington State, we had our own books too, because, when we were dealing with traffic court or whatever,
okay.
we were changing charges or. So
Alright.
he should be able to use just a regular citation book and maybe have the sheriff or whoever trains them on how to use that over there, train him how they write them out. Should be as complete as possible. As a lawyer, I can tell you, the more info, the better.
So do we have to talk to the sheriff about it and let him know? Or do we just need to order him one?
Do we order theirs?
I don't know where they get theirs.
We have an
I mean,
old
we don't need the sheriff's
version we used
department.
to use.
We don't need the sheriff's approval.
We have an old
No,
version that we use.
Just need to get a book, Brian.
We have an old what?
Old version of a citation book. that
Do we?
can,
All
if
right,
you
we
can
can
look at
look
it.
at that.
Yeah.
Let-
Anthony take
Yeah,
a look at
okay.
it. Make sure it has.
And then the other thing we're gonna need is try some self procedures of what happens after you issue a citation to somebody.
Well, I was just thinking for simplicity's sake, and I know, we'd like to handle our own stuff, but for the magistrates and anybody who's dealing with it, I'd like it to look as consistent and familiar to them as possible.
Well, so you have citation books?
I can find you one, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I thought I saw it in Milbert's office.
Have you seen those books in your office?
We have cleanup notice.
cleanup notice books. Or we could talk to Sheriff about issuing us one, and then we can count for those serial numbers. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so he knows those were issued to litter control.
Actually, that might be a better way of doing it because it will jog with all the other citations.
Well, that's what I thought. I could just foresee a magistrate court, you don't want somebody trying to, the way things fly there. You don't want them trying to decipher this new form, just make it consistent with what all the other citations in down here written on. Okay, all right, well, I move that we approve our litter control officer to be able to write citations as we've just discussed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And there's two more things on the exhibit, the broadband engineering decision and ISP.
Hey, Mike Clemens never sent the information for the agreement, did he?
No.
Okay, so I asked him to try to send us the other agreements that he had with the other counties, so we can look at them and make a decision on them. Evidently, he hasn't sent it yet. And as far as the visit on the broadband engineering, we had a meeting the other day with Mike Clemens with Gigabeam and S&S. And after the discussion, I think S&S understands that the commission and Gigabeam are in charge of the development and where it needs to go. Do you agree, John?
Mhm.
Okay. And I talked to Mike Clemens even after that, and he says that he thinks they understand too. So I
And
I want to hear everybody's input on it, but I mean, I wanted to make sure because they was not understanding what the commission was telling them the last month. And it kind of concerned me as the reason I put this back on there.
Mike is also setting up a meeting with another company coming in and talking with us.
AEP?
Yeah.
Okay.
AEP. We have to meet with AEP first, see where they're going to develop broadband.
So we can piggyback on their infrastructure.
Right,
Right.
right. And then
Save us
S&S
some money.
will put the other infrastructure in for Gigabeam to ride on.
What are your thoughts from that meeting?
Oh, it was very positive. I like the fact that Mr. Clemens is going to be able to bring in AEP. And depending on which direction AEP goes, they'll have the system there and then we'll save a few dollars by just breaking off of their system and going deeper into the hollows.
Did S&S come off of the multiple ISP
Yeah,
concept?
Yeah.
That was going to be an abject failure in every way.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you, I have been concerned at the time it has taken to get to this point. So I would like to postpone this item until maybe June
That'll be fine.
and see how the progress is going, because I want to make sure we're making progress. We've prioritized this. We've dedicated, allocated the majority of our ARPA money toward it, and it needs to move.
I
I mean,
agree.
because we're going to lose the ability to spend that ARPA money, and I don't want it to be because we made a bad choice in any of these decisions. So,
They may let a good fire too.
okay.
Yeah. I agree.
What is what is a good meeting in June? Because I know you've got stuff going on in June.
I can't remember the calendar.
I think it's the 7th.
Well, I think I'm good in June.
And you'll be here and everything.
It's just the first week of April.
Okay, so I moved to postpone the broadband engineering revisitation to June 7th.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, right on
Okay.
time, Ruth.
That's done.
And the IFP and contract, are we just gonna postpone to another meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
When he gives us the information, I thought he would
okay, so
have
we'll
it.
just take it off until.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so you guys have the budget documents.
Mhm.
We've briefed the highlights as you briefed them to us.
Yeah, so first of all, that's not right. Because I raised our Delinquencies, exonerations, and uncollectible. Should be at 9%, it still shows at 8, because Eddie thinks with the new system the state put in, it's gonna cause issues and we're gonna have a lot more exonerations.
Bruce mentioned that one.
Yeah. I'm about to reprint that page for y'all. And then, the rest of it is pretty much what you guys requested, I think. John, do you have the note?
Yeah, I have the notes.
Because I didn't. have them with me.
Yeah, the only reason that was given was law enforcement. The uniform allowance has been combined with the salaries. And will no longer be a separate line item.
All right, so they still get the money, they just won't see it separate on their check.
And then the other thing is no consideration was given to the capital outlay items. They will be revisited at the end of the fiscal year, once the carryover balance has been determined. All employees should look at ways to save money to help free up funding for capital outlay requests, as well as future raises, as the commission has done in the last year or two. And then I wanted to also say there's no outside funding. There was no outside funding request were awarded. The commission continues to focus on improving services such as water, sewer, and broadband for the people of Fayette County. So,
Okay. And with regard to law enforcement raises, that was a $5,000 a year raise across the board,
Right.
right? And then the uniform allowance is being wrapped into their salaries. That $60 a month is just going to be part of the salary now. And not a separate allowance for facility of bookkeeping.
right.
And we just addressed your raises, Sheriff.
And then the only other one was the 911. It's separate, doesn't actually go to the state. But as it was presented, you guys had asked for them to look for raises. And they can do the raises they requested. It's a $3,500 raise for dispatchers. It adds the training or dispatch coordinator trainer. And it also makes the supervisors exempt out of salary, and that budget works. So that's in here too to sign once I reprint the exoneration page. It's not in, well, the little sheet goes for you to sign.
So and I want to clarify too, we had a long meeting with the sheriff when we were doing budget review, and we are still looking at those solutions that we were discussing with you and those rank raises, but we're going to do it for the full year. So that's the only thing. We haven't forgotten about that, and we're not going to not do that. It's just budget wise, it made more sense to do it at the fiscal year and not right now. But the $5,000 raise is in this budget, annual raise per deputy. And
Thank you.
and we're wrapping the uniform allowances into the salary because of the bookkeeping headaches and the taxes and all that stuff. So, but those were the things that we addressed about your budget, and those were the only raises that we're giving except for the dispatchers at 911.
I'd like to thank all three commissioners, appreciate that, I'm the guy that drove wrong, thank you.
I just wish we could do more.
Yeah, we aggravated you enough.
No aggravation, that's teamwork to get your from.
Yeah. But the rest of those rank shifts and stuff, they're still on our radar, and we're gonna, we're gonna look at it specifically at the end of June to implement in July. So he just needs to know what the budget is to see what we can afford. And that's what she just needs to be able to do that. And we're going to do what we can, everything we can afford. We don't want to do something we can't afford, and we don't want to do not enough. You know what I mean?
So speaking of capital outlay, is that grant that Parker's got not covering part of what you asked for? Pictures or the fingerprint or what?
And that's funny you asked. They denied some stuff the first time around, and Mike was supposed to get the final lay down on it. We got some of the back, waiting on it, but we had trials going on. I get it covered. They might cover some of like the $7,000 thing that they got. It's going to cover that now. We found out. So there's some things on there that might, and I'll remember more here in the later stuff. And I'll let you know as soon as I do, ma'am.
Yeah, so he thought he was declined
Yeah,
and he wasn't.
right,
It's, I think it's 30,000.
38,000.
Yeah.
And we did approve, didn't we approve that part-time position for
County clerk.
county clerk
And
for election work?
And I know you mentioned that this is coming up. I did find out some stuff on the, and I was the only sheriff that thought this. It was about the budget, you know, you talk about the different, like the asset forfeitures, drug forfeitures, and it's the weapons. To think of it. What, on them, you gotta go by what you had in the bank on June 30th. And the 50% that I was thinking, last year in office at the halfway point, I can't below 50 in my budget. Budget line items. Where them three are not kind of budget, I could take them down to zero if I want to. Not good practice, but you can't do that. So, y'all's attorney was right on that, and I found out and stuff they did, and so Ruth, I was wrong on that.
No, Mike, I cannot believe that. I cannot believe that, Mike.
922.
Yeah.
It's your actual budget line items, if you can't go below 50% from the
Yeah.
last year in.
That's why we have Ruth and Michael Taylor.
Right, and it was good, and I called and they said, no, we can't do it, and then our attorney said, he went and did research and stuff, like that. Well, their attorney said we can. He came back and said, no, it may be not explained to you guys right. Them three line items are not counted as budget line items. That's will and pleasure of the sheriff, and you could take it down, whatever. And but they said, claim the price of the sheriff coming in and your terms up, but I'm already spending some of it and getting some stuff that we couldn't get before, so let you three know that.
Thank you, Mike.
And I appreciate it.
Well, all that said, are there any other questions or comments about the budget? I move we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I will have a lot of documents to sign. We've got one more now.
Yeah. Every
Okay.
single page.
You want to go back to the vouchers and invoices, since Mr. Crookshank's here, we still got a few.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mr. Crookshank, can I ask you a couple questions? And first, how's the invites for me going to all the fire departments? They're open, good, good.
I'm gonna keep it about half of
Okay, okay. I was wondering if,
it. Coordinate.
Well, you want somebody there, right?
yeah, yeah, I don't think, and maybe visit some other counties, fire departments also. Just like I did the 911 center, you know, like the different areas, different 911 centers to see what they're doing. I'd like to visit some out of the county fire departments to see what all they have and what they're doing. You pick them. And it doesn't, I'd like the most funded to the least funded. To get a wide variety of what everybody has and doesn't have and how they operate.
Kanawha County and Clay County.
Give me an idea of what really goes on out there. Okay, but getting back to the approval of Anstead's, I went through and John will have some questions also. I went through and I got a question here on the power bills. There's two separate power bills with two different numbers. One's at 111 Church
They have
Street.
2 locations.
Wow, do they have two locations?
They do. Yeah, one is a newer building and one is their old building. They store their trucks in both of them. I just found that out.
How many trucks does
Helping
Anstead have?
Jane Chris deliver.
Just right here.
How many trucks does Anstead have, brother?
5 engines, 2 squads.
5 engines and 2 squads.
They
Yes.
also run a fence operation down there.
Yeah, I was gonna say they have the special teams there.
Organ rescues, foot water, hazmat, ATV.
And all them engines are paid for, aren't they?
all of them.
I'm with the new one. Okay.
Partially paid for. Yes.
That was another thing. Did you get all that information for me?
I submitted a form to them, to all the departments at the county meeting for them to fill out.
Okay. did you give a time that they may have that? Okay, well, I mean, I'm just,
Can you put a deadline on it for
I
us?
mean, it'd be better to have a time so they don't just, if it turns in eternity.
They got it last Thursday.
By April 5th?
I found a form actually from the state auditor's office. That they recommend for the departments. Record, so that made sense to use that. I've been going over legislative auditors, recommendations, there's actually a whole recommendations for volunteer fire departments, or stuff like that. So I'm looking at those. Also the state fire officers forms, so we can revise what we, there's no reason to have duplication. If they
Right.
form one time, then we can use those
Right,
forms.
right. And the taxes, a lot of these invoices, they're being charged taxes on them. Should they be charged taxes?
It's an issue. There's a lot of small purchases that there's taxes on that. It's hard to go through, but they should be trying to all the time they can to not pay taxes. when they don't have to.
Yeah, there's some to Lowe's, into it. The cable bill and a couple others that had tax on them. You can get those credited, I mean, removed, maybe not credited, but
Sometimes, yeah, not required.
yeah.
But when I was in a position before, I told them we wanted to deny reimbursing taxes. I think that may be the. One of the problems that I've noticed nowadays, wasn't a problem before, is there's a lot of online ordering and stuff. And that, I think complicates that process a little bit. But, yeah, that's something that concerns me.
And I think you had another question, John, too. didn't
No,
you?
that was just the tax.
Okay, all right.
Well, I mean, I can see. And like you said, the smaller purchases where it might be difficult if it's not a regular vendor that they use. But with regular vendors, that shouldn't be an issue at all.
And that's what I think it's not reimbursed. Reimburse those. You know, they're if you were going out here, you had an extended call and you had to provide food for the guys.
Right, that's where stuff, what I'm thinking of, incidental, you
Yeah.
know,
But
non-standard.
maybe it's just regular.
Okay, I got. I said, well, that's not gonna work. Yeah, I got something else. I just asked Ruth, thank you. I asked Ruth to pull this up for me. And I'm looking at the comparisons of the allotments and the percentages where everybody's at last year compared to this year. And there's
How much they've used out of there.
yeah. Golly Bridge and Golly River. Last year, Golly Bridge was at 8% at this time. And Golly River is at 12%. This year, Golly Bridge is 106%. And Golly River is at 118%.
I assume that's includes their carryover. Is that what?
The carryover is not put in the budget.
They've always been able to draw down what they had from the previous year if they didn't spend it. Because they
So what-
they save money for major, for like an engine. It looks like right now an engine, what we paid for a ladder truck 5 years ago, it's going to, the new engine is going to cost. So they've always carried that. I've got several departments that are saving their money for additions to the station where they don't have a meeting room and a kitchen facilities. I can show you some of that. I think the ones I can show you that are planning on, additions, you'll agree.
Okay. Well, I was just curious. I was thinking maybe they're not using their state funding.
Well,
Is what they're probably stockpiling their state funding this past year
that's one thing.
and utilizing the county levy.
I questioned several, whether they weren't using money or they're out, which I paid that out of the state money. And one of the issues is the turnaround on getting paid. If they've got a bill, they may use their state money because they don't think they can pay the vendor in time. And there's some vendors that don't really bill far enough ahead. They want paid 16 days after the date of the invoice. That doesn't even include the time it took to mail the invoice to us. But there's not a lot of rhyme or reason. There's certain things allowable that are allowable out of state money or that money. And
I think they
it
coincide
varies by
with each other.
It varies by department, how they decide on what they will pay out.
See, that's, I mean, I know they always get 60,000 a year for state funding. Is that what it is? 60 or 60. So I was just curious. I figured they was stockpiling the state funding. The reason it was 106, 118%. I'm just curious about if you knew.
They're not, they haven't spent more than that.
Yeah, they've spent more than a lot. But I mean, I was just curious. I mean, last year,
But that's like,
they was only at like 8% and 12%, and they're at 106 and 118. So I mean, I'm just curious,
well,
do they have new engines?
Yeah.
Okay. Did they just get the engines this year? See, that's something I need to know. That's the reason I needed that information too, so to give an idea of where everybody stands financially and what's owed and what's not owed, the year of it, you know.
That's and that was like on the truck replacement, we've got $45,000 a year. When you order a truck, a lot of times the delivery date is going to be the next fiscal year. So a lot of the first payment was 90,000 because they had that accumulated. So yeah,
I just wanted to ask you.
it takes some looking and takes some dives, deep dives sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I wanted the information, because going through all these invoices, and believe me, I go through every invoice, and you know I do, because I do have questions on them. That would make it a lot easier for me when I look at this and ask Ruth for information to show where we're at, all of them's at financially. And the other thing, we talked about a spreadsheet. And we talked about me putting a spreadsheet together for y'all to start doing out there on the invoices. So I can look at the invoices and see where everybody's at, how much it spends and everything. Do you remember that?
Are we talking about by category?
Yeah, spreadsheet and categorizing everything. Could you do that for me?
There is a form.
There is a form?
And I'll see what we can do with our last guys. Tracking that again.
Well, if she could put it in.
It was in there before for quarterly report, which showed the quarter and year to date.
Okay, all right. That's all the questions I have. Don't have any more questions?
Not about fire association. I just have a comment about something else in the budget.
Okay.
The voucher part. This is vouchers and invoices, is that what you have?
Yeah.
I thought I got one for y'all to look at too.
You want to go first?
Eddie is trading into his vehicles and getting 2 more out of Assessor Val. He just needs y'all to approve it because I'm not approving it. One's 25 and one's 26.
With the total of 52, and this is.
That's
out of
his
budget?
assessor. Assessor Val fund.
I move we approve it.
All in favor?
So I just wanted to point out where we're, all this money going out toward that Russellville Bridge.
Let's see that.
We're creeping up, I believe, on the amount that we capped because the FEMA extension has not been granted. And so I think we need to put Chapman and Matt Ford on the agenda, second meeting in April, maybe to get an update, figure out what's going on, because at some point, the project's gonna come to an abrupt halt, because I don't think we ought to fund it beyond what we already voted. We would fund it, because we might not get that money back.
Well,
Well, we
FEMA may-
have, so we have the FEMA money there, we got it back. from
They may
DLA.
take it from us.
Right, but if they don't approve that extension, you're gonna have to give it back, including what you spent, so that comes out of your. What you allocated out of COLA allocated, we're getting real close to that limit.
Right, and it does not, that project does not fit in with our top priorities of getting infrastructure to people.
well, let's put him back on the agenda even earlier now. When would you want to put him on? there?
Well, I was gonna put the second meeting in April because the first meeting in April gets pretty stacked.
And I don't know
Okay.
if I'll be here.
Second meeting? or first?
Second meeting, I will.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, good.
Oh,
Let me do it quickly.
yeah, go ahead.
With us today, we have Delegate Eric Brooks. He has part of Collinwood Acres in Oak Hill going down through over to Mount Hope and into Raleigh County. So Eric, if you'd like to say a couple things, you can.
Well, good to be here with everybody again. I had a pretty busy legislative session. Done a lot of things, and we got fired in the room. We tried to do some things. I don't know if you guys saw how that went down. Not satisfactory what happened, but we're going to try to carve out some money at the very top of the priority list going into the next session. So it doesn't do good now, but it's maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Try to do some funding for fire and EMS. But anyway, pretty productive session. Done some things for state. And I'm just here to talk to the commissioners and anybody else. Try to get some issues resolved. Things might be coming down the road. Just avail myself to you. Do what I can to help you. Just let me know what you need. I'll do my best on my end down there to get it implemented or to get it done. So anyway, that's it. Let me know if you need anything. Thank you.
And for those of you who don't know it, Eric worked in the prison system for quite some time.
Sir, 26 and a half years.
I think that's what John's trying to say. A motion to approve vouchers and invoices.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Yes, thank you.
All right, we're past the 9:30, but I think we was going to take the 9:30 unless anybody wants to discuss. We're gonna take the 9:30 and 10 and more or less recess and hold them off until this evening, I believe is what's the correct word, Ms.
Well,
Taylor?
I was gonna move that we, at the end of this meeting, that we recess until 4 p.m. Because the URA is meeting about these very issues at 4 p.m. And the commission plans to attend, and in case any decisions are required of us during that meeting, I wanted us to still be in session.
Where is that?
It's here,
Where was the public notice for that meeting?
right here. You would have to ask the URA. Huh? Yes. Well, I know, I think, well, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so, but anyway, I'm gonna move that we, move these, the 9:30 and 10 o'clock issues to 4 p.m. when the URA meeting adjourns.
Where's that meeting will be at exactly? In this room?
Yeah, but, yeah, it's gonna be right.
Same Zoom link.
Yeah. Well,
I
we'll
think
just-
it is.
It's set up that way currently.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same Zoom link. But I mean, we can talk about a little bit there, but, with regard to Oak Hill, I would like to know where you guys are leaning on the meeting that you guys had with Blue Water and the engineer for Blue Water the other day.
We don't think that we can meet their timeline to extend sewer there. And we're not real receptive to the whole thing because it's gonna be a lot of money for us unless that they can come up with all the money that it will cost us to provide that.
So if the developer of that property were able to fund the infrastructure upgrades, Oak Hill would be receptive. But if Oak Hill has to bear any of the expense, it is not. Well, that makes all the sense in the world to me.
And we still, even at that, we don't think we can meet their timeline.
So the timeline is
Unless
also.
they come up with the money up front. It's still, it would be hard. If we have to get funding, I know we cannot meet that timeline. It would be tight, I think, to meet it. Even
With it. Well, we know from the other projects that are going on in the county that just getting the materials for those kind of upgrades is
because
difficult.
they're looking at early 2025, I think is their goal.
Right, April 25.
Right.
Yeah, but you guys had said that you could accommodate a certain number of campgrounds with your existing capacity if everything else lined up.
We haven't really determined that. We can stop doing some of that
Okay.
work. Just to really want everything to put a lot of effort into getting information.
Did we ever find that? Don't mean to interrupt. Did we ever, just curious, did we ever find anywhere?
We have not.
I'm just curious. I don't think there was one, but I know there's been a lot of talk of one and.
There's a lot of talk in the past about.
Yeah.
As well, and what we found in the records is that there was a lot of talk and confirmation that an agreement had not been signed. And then it just seemed to kind of figure out, so to speak.
Yeah.
Well, we can raise that at the URA meeting too, the URA.
And that's a question, so we've not confirmed through their records to see if they have anything.
Commissioner Luisos went through those because he's our URA commissioner. And he did not find anything
Well, before.
in the minutes.
When I was elected, I went through minutes. From the beginning of time, read all the minutes and information, and I never seen any document or anything that said anything about any agreement between Oak Hill and the URA. Never, I don't remember one either.
I think we searched county records too, didn't we? Didn't Amy look through them or somebody? So, I got a text saying the Zoom link is gonna be different. For the URA meeting.
I just got it too. I should have looked.
Can I get a copy of that, please?
As soon as I get it.
But it's gonna still be here.
It's gonna be
Still
here.
gonna be held here.
Having an adequate public notice on it either.
Well, I mean, that again
I
is,
get it, it's URA, you're separate.
okay, well, you're out of order, Brad. So stop talking, please. Okay, so did we look through our records that we have of URA stuff to see?
We don't have URA records. We did, like there's file cabinets, but we're not.
But they're not out.
They're not.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not our documents yet.
All right. All right, all right. I get to the bid openings.
Yeah.
As usual, I guess they don't have my email address. Can you forward me that, please?
Said,
Did somebody second my motion to move those items to 4 o'clock?
Oh, second,
all in favor?
Aye.
What are you talking about, John?
said you guys just received something about the change.
Do what?
Said you guys just
Said
received.
it's a different email or a different Zoom.
Commissioners, this is Jenna Belcher. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Jenna Grayson is on the URA board, and so the Zoom link was shared with us, or I got it because it was somewhere in an email to the URA members. I have not seen the public notice that went out, which is a valid question as to where it is, but that's how we have access to that Zoom link. So I don't know if someone needs to request that the URA send that out or find out where that Zoom link is posted. But it was in an email to the URA board members. And so that's how I have that, because Jenna Grayson is our board member that is on there.
So that was not posted?
I have no idea. I have not seen it, but I don't know where they post their public notices, but it ideally it should have been, because it is a public meeting.
It was the Monday when I was over there, I checked board Monday morning, it wasn't posted.
It was not there last week.
We posted it last week.
It's not hanging out there right now.
Well, then somebody must have put it down.
Was it recorded with the county clerk?
Yep.
It was, okay, we'll go to the court clerk's office.
All right. It's not there, it's-
Yep, bid opening. Mr. Crookshank.
This is
Thank you guys for coming over. We'll send you the Zoom link as soon as we
I
can.
think I might. I just checked an email. I had an email from Jim, so I think I've got it.
Okay.
Hey, Tyler, good to see you back in Oak Hill too.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're the one who left and returned.
Yeah, yeah.
He's the wondering child.
Things about it.
Yes. Great.
Okay.
We begged, we had to keep begging.
I'm glad it worked.
You just got one?
Yes, just one item, there's another bid for, we've got. This is just for, at the training center, our propane training area. We've got quite extensive amount of props and everything. But, this is basically to tear out some existing foundations and, install a new concrete pad, put everything on.
Is that where the clubhouse was at?
No, it's,
Where the old maintenance building was down in.
Okay. All right.
I never got to play golf down there. I don't know which hole it was, but there's just, we've received one bid.
No, you know, John, he's a contractor here.
I've got,
Since it's-
Mike Ray had the, he's also a contractor and fire chief, so he can't bid on it, but, he took care of the details and we, did the legal ad and tried all that Anthony said. On that. And specifically mentioned in there that any other publications are published at a different date, this was the official ad.
I figured that.
Yeah.
Mike, you put all the specifications in there?
We did.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So I saw in our materials, you were getting bids to demolish the concrete and then to build the building and you're going with the
Well,
same.
it's not, this is the building, this is a
slab.
slab to put our props on. We've got 9 or 10 different,
Got 13.
13, woo, different propane props. We've got a car, a vehicle fire, one of those common things of 20 pound.
I think there's a bus setting up on the hill too, isn't there?
Okay, so you need to demolish one concrete pad and build a
There's a
bigger one.
bus setting up there.
It's an old van. It's not too.
Okay,
Okay, all right.
and we're not opening bids on, because we had another in our package about a building.
That's correct. That's a
Okay.
All right, this is to demo, remove existing 20 by 75 slab, install a 40 by 80 by 6-inch deep broom finish concrete slab with number 4 rebar, 24-inch centers. Install a 24 by 36 by 6 inch deep room finish concrete slab with number 4 on 24 inch centers. Concrete slabs will be placed on compacted crushed limestone, and all the work will be followed by common standards and practices. Total bid is $54,687.
We received only one bid.
Yes. And it was from Extreme Concrete out of Somersville.
What's left to finish the project out there? Just curious.
The other main thing we've got going is the other bid.
That finishes it.
Building.
That finishes it.
We have a 5-year plan that's being. And we're behind on a 5-year.
So the 5-year plan brings it to where you can open it. I mean, the 5-year plan brings it to where it can be utilized. Is that correct?
We're operating. Find the area that probably don't have what we need.
But will the 5-year plan,
This will bring us close to the 5-year plan. We also have a process that was given the state, the Hall test tram was taken down. They donated 2 tires to us and 500 for the support cable. We can set up down there and Assessor was giving us details. We're going to mount down there and train to remove the cables from the tram park.
It's been a lot of done in, tremendous amount of done in stuff. And it's getting used. We've been down there, this,
All right, it's 4 burners this year. We've got 2 more.
Yeah.
for this year.
and it's colder. It's not cold inside the burn building, but, when you're outside between rotations and everything, you know, purpose of the building on the next bid is to have some bay area for equipment. We're talking with WVU about that. And part of that building will be, we can finish off the classroom. But we really need to get some stuff out of the way. But that's one place I'd really like to show. It's the Assistant State Farm Marshal posted one of our videos. I saw yesterday, and it was, he said, this is a state-of-the-art training facility. And it's in Fayette County.
have you got the keys to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
The grader units we use, grader is worldwide company that builds burn. The grader unit we use is now being used as a base model all over the United States. The way we define this, grader has had more requests for our unit to be duplicated than any other.
We should be paid for that then.
It's,
We got to sign ours.
well, we possibly, got some other free stuff coming. Yeah, it's, and of course, the out-of-state county students have to pay. Please, so.
We've trained Kenmore's, the Air Guard. We've trained a lot of out of state and out of county fire departments.
Well, I know that when I went over the Beckley fire range, he said that their facility, they brought in people from all over the place. They gave donations to the city for the fire range to utilize it. They gave donations to them to help with the facility. Do they do anything that with you guys?
We actually have a MOU with the public service training, which is state, it used to be called RESA. And our instructors are licensed instructors through RESA, and then we run classes through them. And
Through WVDOH.
and WVDOH Fire Service Extension. So that gives us another layer there, and they bill the students for the classes. And in turn, we get payments from public service training for use of the facility. we even had, we've had paid fire departments with the Air Guard, which is the airport. They're coming from all over. It's got an excellent future.
Now, does that funding go into association account or what?
There's a specific account we set up for the training center. For it to be put back into the training center.
That's for maintenance.
Maintenance and stuff like that.
Okay, I was just curious.
We spend more money in man hours down on a week or two make a bar than we do get money.
Yeah, and that's the thing, if we were paying instructors ourselves. And all the extra people we have down there to facilitate. There's a tremendous amount of man hours. Themselves, but for all that.
So do y'all train your firefighters internally too then?
We train them internally.
Yeah.
Draper sent us, people came in from Arizona and Fairfax, Virginia, and done a 5-day training camp for all the burn room managers who control the fires in those units. They have 2 burn room managers in each fire, keeping the fire under control while the students are brought in to fight. They leave to keep it off. We had extensive training. And to answer your question about outside funding or donations like Raleigh County got, I wish we had the money Raleigh County got.
I wish did too.
Yeah, some of their fire departments get $600,000 a year.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
To get benefits like that.
Yeah.
But I'm in sticker shock and everything after being out of it for a while. I'm a firefighter, but I wasn't dealing with money. Part of it. It's a sticker shock when you go buy a car and.
Oh, yeah.
It is just amazing. What things cost.
But this has been a great tool. Getting people down and watching, participating in these things. And it's like a virus. We have gained 7 new recruits at Ansted in the last 2 months.
Well, that's
We've never had
awesome.
7 recruits.
That is good.
It would take you years to get 7.
It has. I've seen benefits in some way. To me, the one thing is, this is training that can save lives. Firefighter lives, if we want. But being able to operate in those conditions and knowing what to do at the right time. We had this past weekend one student that was panicked and while we were trying to get him out, he slugged one of the instructors. But if you can imagine in the old days, that would have been on the job training, been an actual fire that you'd have to take. That could be so bad.
We might all of them come down and see it.
Yeah.
Mike,
I'll be down there.
Mike, in order to get that type of training, before we had that burn center, I guess it's not the right word, but before we had our training center, where would you have to go for that type of training?
But years ago, we could burn old houses and EPA stuck up on us. And
Yeah.
you can't do that. We would have to go to Jacksonville, the WVDOH burn center to do it, or simulator, burn simulator.
It was nothing like what we've got.
It's hard to get in.
Plus they charge
Without paying. There's one in Lewisburg, the one in Lewisburg is just one Connex month. It's not even a same setup for like ours.
I think it's a testimony to the fire departments that we've got that great training center.
It's a testament to the county and the information is also.
Many years were put into planning and hoping and wishing for that.
Any other questions?
Just, does that bid sound reasonable to you for the work?
Mike, you do more slabs than. Did that sound like a reasonable price?
It's over 80 yards of concrete, so you can imagine 80 times $220 yard just for concrete.
It's still $100. Concrete's still $180 some dollars a yard too.
It's 220. right? If
220?
Where to get it. It hasn't been 180 for a while, unless you pour concrete every day. There's 2.5 tons of steel that goes in that.
Yeah. So, yes. That's a good place.
Yeah, labor's about 50%. Or whatever whatever the material cost, usually labor is the same thing, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
Well,
thought.
I mean, we approved the bid.
Second, what was it? All in favor?
Aye. It's set right there.
Thanks.
Yeah, we got to burn this week.
2 days.
Yeah, we got
This
to-
weekend,
Saturday, Sunday.
I'm supposed to go somewhere, but I may, because it's gonna be cold, I may change my plans, but then
Then you gotta go to the executive.
then I gotta go to
committee.
executive committee meeting, so we'll get down there.
If it's too cold down there, we'll get you some gear to put you inside.
Okay.
All the firewood. the
Yeah.
fire-
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, can we,
The last thing.
the 10:30, can we do that now?
It's not a notice one.
Hey. Can we take a break?
Yeah. Take a break.
Thank you.
Way back over there.
You- I call the meeting back to order. And 10:30. Who's gonna take? We'll do that first, okay.
Yeah, so,
We're gonna, go ahead.
Commissioner Luis has heard back from Bill Wells regarding the building commission, and he is willing to serve, so I move that we appoint Bill Wells to the building commission.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then I guess that just leaves 10:30, right?
Yeah. We already approved,
Dan.
okay. All right, 10:30. Ms. Taylor, you're the lawyer here, so you want to,
This is Mike Callaghan's.
Yeah, this is one.
oh,
where
is
he
this
did-
kept?
Yeah, this is where he adds
Oh,
staff
I see.
that reports to him under Anthony to handle the litigation that he's doing on our behalf. So I go ahead and move that we approve this. It's all coming out of whatever Mike makes, if anything, out of these lawsuits that he's initiated on our behalf. So if he needs more help, that's, his call.
Second, and then he'll have to change.
I
you
changed
from-
it. I
Oh,
changed it.
you already changed it. Okay.
There was also a request for legal fees.
I didn't see that.
He sent an email, but I can't get it.
Okay, we have to,
Is it on the agenda?
Yes.
Yeah,
we have a motion and a second on this one part.
on appointing Kirk Tracy as
That's for the one, is this?
a civil assistant prosecuting attorney under Mike Callaghan, who reports to the prosecuting attorney.
Yeah, but this is is this for the accident down there? Or
This is for the Johnson, the original litigation that's been ongoing with the insurance, suing the insurance companies.
Oh. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and attorneys, I didn't see anything on them.
I don't see anything about a payout.
I don't either.
Let me see it. Yes. Request for payment. It's just that. I don't know what the
Co-counsel.
information is, so. No, it's after. Request for payment.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the fees are.
We don't either.
Yeah, so the court's just awarded $37,315 in attorney fees. And he's requesting that amount of money to be paid to him, and that it was still leave the $3,255 in the nuisance account.
Okay, let's back up. The court, didn't we already, is that the one that,
This is a new one.
this is a new one?
This is a new award of attorney fees, yes.
See, we approved another one last year, year before last.
Yeah, so this is the second
Yes.
and.
How
Okay,
are they awarding, how's the court awarding attorney's fees without awarding damage or any kind of settlement?
damages.
Anthony, any idea?
Or was that money left over from the?
No, this is the new one. He sent us the check.
It is,
We got one of them. We got the 7,000. I don't know if we got the 30,000.
is Mr. Callaghan on the line?
He is.
Oh,
Yes,
Well, that makes it.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that.
I've unmuted. I don't know if y'all can hear me.
Okay, we got you now, Mike.
Yeah, let me explain what has happened here. There were two awards of attorney fees, and this had to do with the spill event. So we filed the spill event in Fayette County, and there were two cases filed. The main case, which dealt with the spill event, and the second was they failed to answer our information demand, which related to questions like what assets do you have to fix it, things like that. The other side, through their insurance counsel for GG West, they removed that case, the information demand, and the main case to federal court. Judge Irene Berger has both cases. We moved to remand the case dealing with the failure to comply with the information demand. So that got sent back to Circuit Court of Fayette County. At that stage, we asked Judge Berger to award attorney fees for the time we spent in getting it remanded because it was an improper remand or an improper removal from Fayette County Circuit Court to the federal court. So the judge awarded us roughly $7,500 or so on that case. So then when we got back to Fayette County in the case, the other side, we had to take them and get an injunctive relief by Judge Blake. And Judge Blake, at that stage, we got the 30,000 or so attorney fees for them failing to comply with the information demand and you know, in front of Judge Blake. So the total amount of awarded attorney fees between the federal court and Judge Blake was the $37,000 one that I put in front of Mr. Celebrity. So what I've asked for is just to have that amount written to my law firm, and that still leaves about $3,300 or so in the account. And if you'll recall, the last time I did not ask for all the attorney fees to be paid over to my firm. I thought that it was appropriate to leave the $3,300 or so in the account to keep the account active. And I still am persistent with that. So anyway, I want to leave the $3,300 in there so we've got money in the account, even though that's already been awarded to me by the court and not paid over by the commission. So that's the best explanation I can give you.
That makes sense to me.
I followed it.
Yeah, and the award is for the actual time expended. In other words, the judge, Judge Berger looked at everything, looked at my time. Judge Berger awarded $550 an hour in a proceeding to get it remanded. And Judge Blake has previously awarded $500 an hour for these discovery disputes. And Judge Blake has said that, you know, basically he will up that amount when we get into the real meat of the case. In other words, a discovery dispute, it doesn't take a lot of brain power. So he awarded the $500 an hour. In his order, he said that the other things involved in the case, if he has to award another attorney fee related to something significant dealing with circular RCRA or these significant statutes, that he believes the attorney fee amount per hour should be up. So that's the current status. But again, the $37,000 and some odd dollars I'm requesting, that's actual time and expense that we have put out into those particular cases. And again, as I've told the commission, counting all the other stuff, we're far in excess of $1 million in time, with the hope that at someday we're going to get, you know, reimbursed for our time in the case.
So let me ask you a question to me. You know, I think John asked it to start with, and this Kirk Tracy, we're adding another attorney to the litigation.
That's correct.
So
The Paladin Law Firm is one of them I work with. They have lawyers in Walnut Grove, California, and in San Antonio, Texas. So there are 2 lawyers for the Paladin Law Firm that you've already appointed for the Johnson Fork case. One of them is a person named John Till, and the other one is Brett Stone. Both of those people have been down to meet the commission, but I think it was probably before everyone except Mr. Brenneman, Commissioner Brenneman. But Kirk Tracy is a younger guy. When I say younger, he's 40-ish. He works in the same law firm as a partner, and we want to get him on the trial team as we take this Johnson Fork case to trial later this year.
Okay, let me ask you a question. How many attorneys are you gonna have working on this case?
The 2 people from the Paladin Law Firm that will be working on it will be John Till and Kirk Tracy. Brett Stone has not been working on the case very much.
Well,
So it would be-
very much, he does work on the case, correct?
A little bit, yes.
Okay, well,
But
I just, all I want to ask you, Michael, Mr. Callaghan, is how many lawyers are gonna be working on this case?
4 lawyers.
4 lawyers. Any assistants?
No.
Do you have nobody else that's gonna be working on this that needs funding? I'm just curious.
Yeah, there will be, I do not have a paralegal. The Paladin Law Firm has a paralegal, so there will be some paralegal time by that firm. But it's mostly, the case is mostly lawyer driven. It's mostly legal issues.
Okay,
So 4 lawyers, to answer your question, is
that lady that we approved last year before last, she's not working on this, Johnson Fork?
She has a little bit. She has gotten really busy on other stuff and has not had much time to devote to the case. So within the past year, she has not worked on any of these cases.
So is the case that difficult that you need 4 or 5 lawyers? I'm just curious.
We've got 125 against us.
Well, I mean, when I ran for, I'm not gonna get into politics, but I've been against everybody. So I know what your odds against each other. I know what you're talking about. But I just wonder if there's that much information. I mean, you can only answer so much of the same information to the same way, to so many people, but it's the same no matter what. Is the reason I'm just questioning. Okay.
Yeah, and I will say, and this is the same team. We just came off of a 5-week trial, the same trial team I've got put together. Quite frankly, it took all of us to do the trial. When you're doing 8 hours in court and another 5 or 6 hours each evening and working weekends, judges get very demanding during trial. I'll give you an example. The trial we just finished, and it wasn't a Fayette County case, but it was Judge Copenhaver, and he had us, doing 20-page briefs to do at 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning. So when you're in trial, it's all hands on deck, and with the other side having 100+ lawyers, I call with 4 or 5 of us at the fair fight.
Yeah, well, the reason I'm asking questions, when I went down there with you and there was 50 lawyers, I guess it was 50, I don't know how many it was, that it was the same questions and the same results, no matter who we talked to, is the reason I'm asking. How many lawyers does it need to say the same thing is what I'm saying on our team. Okay. All right. That's all the questions I have.
I have a couple of comments, Mike. I just looked at the resolution you sent us, and there are a couple of errors. One is the page count is wrong. There's only 2 pages and it says 2 of 3. Mr. Tracy's name is misspelled in the last paragraph on page 2. And I am not the commission president. Commissioner Luis's is. So the signature line needs to be fixed. Amy can fix these. Okay, I'll hand them over to her.
Yeah, and I apologize for the typos, and I did not realize the switch in president. My apologies to all.
Ms. Taylor still speaks more than I do, so she
You're sitting close to her. What should I say?
Somebody's out of order.
Okay, I guess.
Okay, so with regard to the pay, I move that we approve the attorney's fees. They were
Second,
earned just due to non-compliance and the demand. It wasn't part of the settlement.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay. Sounds like it. Motion to adjourn
Well, we're not adjourning.
or motion to recess.
we can recess
4
until
p.m.
4 o'clock.
Yeah. Second.
You don't want to do it too.